Welcome, acolytes. Today I am reacting to Chalazard. Yeah. Elana, I think it's her name. Elden Ring is too hard. It's not. So I'm actually quite interested if she actually sparks the debate of, oh my god, it's too hard or it's not, because this is pretty clickbaity, to be honest. I do not really know what she's about. But hey, let's just see. Let's just hear her out, what she has to say about it. And let's start about what she's talking about. By the way, if you like my content, leave a like, leave a comment, press the notification button, and show me and her probably some love. Except I disagree with her. Then yes, still it's that, yeah.
Finally come. The people have finally spoken. So listen up, Miyazaki. Elden Ring's DLC is too hard. I have like a couple of like kind of very different branching takes to make in this video. I am going to talk about accessibility and why I think accessibility is really important and how common of a conversation accessibility is where FromSoft games are concerned, and why I do think it would be great if disabled players could play Elden Ring, even though...
Hear me out. What I think about it is the following. F you for that. For fuck's sake, Souls games like that, Elden Ring, Dark Souls, freaking, how's it called? Blah, blah, blah. Not Hunt, not Hunt Showdown. I forgot the name. Why did I forget it? Give me a second. How did I forget it? Bloodborne. Oh, Bloodborne. Neo. Sekiro. All the Souls like I actually played. Why did I play them? Because they are hard. And also the other thing, like with Elden Ring and a friend of mine, if he didn't play it, I made fun of him. And no, I don't think that those games specifically need accessibility. Why? Because they are there to freaking rip your ass in fucking 5 in every single direction of the wind, +3. Those are specifically games for those who actually want a hard time. And it's fine if you don't make them accessible. You don't need someone to play specifically Elden Ring just because they cannot because of something. And yes, if you're disabled, I'm honestly gonna say that no freaking disabled person actually and is sad about it, because they just know, well, okay, it is what it is. There are a lot of things that I am not getting, and a luxury thing is one of the least things they think about. If they cannot do it, they cannot do it. Those are most of the time people that just have nothing better to do than cry and bitch about a game. And there are thousands of games you can play. But no, you want accessibility specifically for Elden Ring because, well, you're too big of a freaking bad player to actually make it. And I'm happy about it. Why? Because if you, I can play Elden Ring better than you ever will. And I am happy about that. And yes, I am a bit arrogant. I am a bit arrogant about that because F you for that. I ripped my ass in every single hemisphere just to get through it. And I did. And if you make accessibility choices like, oh, I don't know, Assassin's Creed, those things mean exactly nothing. Because getting an achievement in Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Bloodborne is way, way, way harder than it ever will be or was in Assassin's Creed. Because in Assassin's Creed you can just put it in a freaking easy mode and it's worthless. It's just that simple. If you do something in Dark Souls, like I didn't, but you know the ring that makes freaking stuff invisible in one of the Souls cases. I don't remember if it was, I think it was the third one. Yeah, that shit's useless, except for PvP. But that shit's useless. But if you got it, Mate, you're freaking on the top. Not everybody can have it. People literally cheat to get it. And if you have it, you have freaking some... What the fuck? This freaking dude actually did stuff. And this is... If you make it accessible, it's worthless. Just like that.
Though it is already currently their most accessible game, there's a lot of room for improvement. But we're also going to talk about... I don't even know where to start. There are a bunch of negative reviews on Steam for Elden Ring because Shadow of the Erdtree is considered too hard. I never thought we would get to a landscape where people will admit that they found a FromSoft game too hard. Like, even if people do, I never thought that they would admit it. Now, it's worth noting that the presence of this has been a little bit exaggerated. A lot of the negative reviews on Steam are also people complaining about the performance problems, which are there. They are concerned.
Oh, the performance problems are there. This is fair enough. Like, yeah, I'm gonna agree with that. But is the DLC too hard? Nah. It's fine. If you actually think when you play, it's not a real problem. It's not really that bad. And to be honest, even in Souls game you already have accessibility. Just play a fucking Pyromancer. And you're gonna wreck shit up. Or get good. And now I think that Magic still has its ups and downsides. Magic is good against bosses, not against mobs. And if you want easier bosses, you do Magic. If you don't give a fuck against mobs, you actually are pretty good with if you just play Magic. Like I do. Because I do not care if I struggle a bit with freaking mobs. I don't give a shit about that. I wanna freaking throw a fucking fireball in the face of a boss. Okay, in the case of Elden Ring, it's actually the Fate freaking lightning throw. Because it's quick, it deals damage, it's actually quite nice, so cost effective. But come on. Like, come on. That's the easy way to do it.
Consistent, and that's a separate story that I've spoken about before that people did not want to hear, which is that, yeah, FromSoft really gets a pass for a lot of things sometimes. Like, the reviews were all 10 out of 10, even though most of these people are playing on PC, and there are PC performance problems with these games. Those are totally valid, and thankfully have been patched. So, though, has the difficulty. There are, like, two sides of this, right? Okay. There's a thing when people talk about FromSoft games that I always find really interesting. People will say, but it's part of the appeal that, like, you're fighting something really hard and then you finally overcome it. That's part of the appeal of the games. No. While there are things that FromSoft games do incredibly well, like, I am obsessed with their boss designs and their animation. Like, for all the things we love about it, their bosses are so impressive in terms of art direction and animation. They don't even need to be. Like, oh my god, they're just so good at that. The sense of discovery is unparalleled. The uniqueness of the world is near unparalleled. Like, there are a lot of things that from...
Good. So what I'm taking out of it, she sucks. Okay. Fair enough. If you suck, you suck. You won't be able to look at those freaking boss thingy-bobs designs for yourself. Watch it on YouTube. What's the effing problem there? If you're just behind the boss designs, watch it on YouTube. Because the argument right now wasn't that I like to play it, it was I like to watch it. And that's also fine. To watch it, you don't even need to buy the game. You just get on YouTube and watch it. There you have it. That's your solution for basically wanting to see this shit. Seeing the boss designs. And now what's the problem? Now can I have my freaking hard game? Where I have to bite my teeth out or pull my teeth out to actually get to the point I want to go? No? You still bitch about it? Of course.
FromSoft games do really well. But saying part of the appeal is beating the... It's not part of the appeal. It's the entire design of the game. It's the whole game. It is the core ethos, the core game design of any FromSoft game, is that you are supposed to approach a boss, be willing to die the first several times as you assess their moveset, you figure out the puzzle that is beating this boss. You've retained information about their movesets, about what kills you, about how you can avoid it, and you roll into them. And then after a certain amount of deaths, which are to be totally expected, if you beat an Elden Ring boss in less than like 3 deaths, in my opinion, that's an RNG fluke and not you playing the game well. The big part of the game is learning how that stuff works. That's the point. You go.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that totally. Because it's simple. There are some movement sets that just are standard. You know instinctively how to dodge it. Because one of the rules of thumb are just dodge in the attack, not out of the attack most of the times. So there are some things where you can do instinctively correct and just do them correct and one-shot a boss. I did it, and I'm not particularly good. So yeah, there isn't a fluke, there is just knowledge. And yes, this is the appeal. You learn it. And I would even agree with the puzzle thing. This is actually quite genius. Yes, it is a puzzle you have to get through. And solving the puzzle, as difficult as it is just one of the appeals of the game. And just because the thing is, just because you like it doesn't mean that anybody else has to like the exact same thing you do. I like the freaking Elden Ring bosses, specifically the games, because they are hard as fuck and they reward knowledge. This is why I like them. And they don't reward being lazy, they punish being lazy. And this is why I like them. What she wants, or as she's arguing, or how I understand this, is specifically she wants to be lazy. She just wants to look at the pretty bosses and just go out and defeat them with a freaking one-shot. Because the design is expected. And no, just because you're an idiot on one boss doesn't mean that everybody else is an idiot on the boss. There are bosses that I one-shot that anybody or somebody else that I know just cannot defeat. Or they need about 100 tries before they do. And there are some bosses that I act like I'm an idiot and just cannot defeat for the freaking life of me. And after a while, I make it. But other people just one-shot them, or two-shot them, or three-shot them. So no, I disagree with her wholeheartedly.
Go in there, you gather that data, and then you finally beat them. That is the point of these games. The whole point is for them to be extremely challenging. I do think that people complaining about the Shadow of Erdtree DLC should get good. By which I mean just pay attention to the things the game gives you that can make it way easier. That's not to say you're not allowed to complain, okay? We are also...
Wait, she argues 2 points here. One of them, that the difficulty is the point of why people like it. No, first she argued it's the design and now it's the gameplay. Lady, for F's sake, pick a side. Or say both is fine, but don't dance around it like you're doing right now. So is it the design, or is it the gameplay, or is it an amalgamation of both? Because I would say it's an amalgamation of both. I love the game design, but I also freaking adore the difficulty. Damn.
So really weird. I'm already tangenting inside my tangent. We are really weird about acting like FromSoft games can't be criticized. They are immune to criticism. Like, you are allowed to complain about finding it too hard.
Oh, you're way too often on freaking Reddit. Just don't go there. Just play your game as you want. It's fine. Nothing's beyond criticizing.
Or feeling like a certain boss isn't balanced, or feeling like a hitbox is... Like, you can complain about those things and be valid. Stop acting like any criticism of a FromSoft game makes you a fake gamer. First tangent completed. I apologize. Back to the video. Course correcting. Patch dropped for the DLC. Meaning that this to me would indicate that FromSoft, gonna lean over a little, kind of agrees with the criticisms, which is pretty nuts. Miyazaki did say that he wanted Shadow of the Erdtree to be the hardest thing they've ever made, and it seems like that worked very well. People are finding it extremely difficult, even people who have been long-time FromSoft fans. That was the intention. I mean, it would have been crazy to let you just like finish Elden Ring and then just continue as though you were still playing Elden Ring. Like, they did have to up the difficulty for the DLC to even justify its own existence, in my opinion. But basically, attack and damage negation curve scaling of the Shadow Realm blessings have been revised. The attack and damage negation has been increased for the first half of the maximum amount of blessing enhancements, and the second half will now be more gradual. The attack and damage negation granted by the final level of blessing enhancements has been slightly increased. So again, I take this to mean that they like kind of agree, and they were like, oh, we maybe did make this too hard. Okay, our bad, which is super interesting. But there are things about this that, oh my god.
Wait, they just made this stuff useful. Before it was basically useless. They didn't change any difficulties, per se. They changed the function of those... Okay, good, okay. Okay, I mean... In my eyes, it's still not an agreement that the game is too difficult. Just the buffs were freaking useless.
God, I have so many opinions. This video is gonna turn out so messy. First, Shadow of the Erdtree tells you what you need to do to get good. And I think really, it just requires patience. You may be familiar with scatter tree fragments. I'll keep this quick in case you literally are familiar. But basically, this is effectively a means of an accessibility feature that exists inside of Shadow of the Erdtree because it is optional, and I love that they've done this. So, Scattertree Fragment is a new upgrade material in Elden Ring, debuting in the Shadow of Erdtree DLC. Scattertree Fragments are optional consumables that can be used to enhance simultaneously offensive and defensive capabilities at any sites of grace, acting like a permanent boost to your DLC damage dealt and damage negation. Basically, you go find these things, they will make you stronger in the game. If you are having trouble with a certain boss, you literally just have to go find these things. They are made solely for the DLC, they only work in the DLC, they do not work in the base game. They are there specifically for players who are having trouble with any bosses that are already there, which is totally fine, by the way. You're allowed to have trouble with Elden Ring. You're allowed to find it hard. But they have been put in the game to give you that option. I love that they make this stuff optional. That it's like, yes, you have to go through effort to be able to do this. And in theory, you need to look up a walkthrough to find the locations of them. But I love that it's like a thing that is available to all players who are having trouble.
It's not just for players that are having trouble. That's pure knowledge. Acknowledgement. If you know about that, good. Now you get a freaking something that buffs you. And I mean, I want it to be hard, but also if I get something that actually makes the entire thing easier, of course I'm getting it. Fuck it. My knowledge got rewarded after knowing this shit. That's beautiful. That's what I'm looking for. It's more of a freaking like Witcher thing. You prepare for the stuff you're going in. I mean, if you're having problems, just use consumables. Again, a knowledge thing. For a long time, I actually didn't use consumables because I was a stupid fuck. Then I started, I was like, well, duh. They are there to be used. Yeah, it's fine.
Leave the boss. Coolest thing about Elden Ring in general.
And yes, if you're some kind of freaking speedrunner and you don't want it, or you want to make the game extra hard, then do it. But the game is perfectly beatable without any of those shenanigans.
Again, where accessibility is concerned, when new players to FromSoft games are concerned, is that you can just leave at any time. Go find these. The DLC will become easier for you. That is, they put it in there for you, and I just feel like maybe a lot of people have missed it, which I guess is like part of also the design of Elden Ring, right? Is like,
yeah, I agree with
FromSoft games don't over-explain anything to you. But yeah, I'm finding this stuff very funny. These games are hard. We should be allowed to criticize things we don't like about them. They're not immune to criticism. I do feel like Shadow of the Erdtree literally has told you the thing that you can do to make it easier. But same time, them patching it would imply to me that they're also like, maybe a bit much, which is funny. I'm not telling you to get good. I'm telling you to use all of the features available to you to cater your experience, which is the coolest thing about accessibility in general. It is time to talk about the incredible...
Oh my fucking god. You know what? I am telling you to get good, because getting one of the things or one of the skills you can learn by getting good is just think while you're playing. Use the stuff you get that the game gives you and just use it. And if you don't want to use it, then don't use it. But if you don't use it, then don't bitch about it being there but you not wanting to use it. And then just freaking crying around why you can't beat the game.
Incredibly cool. But your pro...
I'm gonna skip that. You don't deserve. By pussying out in Elden Ring, you don't deserve the the sadness here of getting your extra things. No, like, of course I'm making fun of it a bit, but still, it's just a difficult thing, and most people don't think about making the game easier in a way that she just explained. Most people, if you say that, they want that the game just gives them everything for free, and this would just destroy the game.
Vitua.com/Alana and use code Alana. Thanks to Vitua for sponsoring this video. Now back to the video. I have never understood why players would ever argue against more customization options. So this is the second half of this video, where I'm going to talk specifically about accessibility, and even just a lot of people really not understanding the conversation about accessibility in Elden Ring. It has been brought up various times across various mediums by various people that Elden Ring is not, or FromSoft games in general, are not particularly accessible to disabled players. And people who are asking for accessibility are not actually asking for an easy mode. That isn't the intent. Here's the thing I want to spell out where accessibility is concerned. People who are disabled, I felt myself doing it, I'm going to do it, is another tangent. There are also multiple kinds of disabilities, especially where gaming is concerned. There are long-term disabilities, there are situational disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. It counts as a disability.
I'm hearing. Because, at least she actually explains it, because yes, if you have for fuck's sake, a person without legs can still play this game without any problems. Disabled. A person without arms, sorry, you can make as many accessibilities as you want, still can't freaking play it, or needs a lot of freaking extra skill in the foot place. And know your foot fetishists, just stay still, don't even get up here, no, pfui, don't think about it. But yeah, you just, of course it depends on the disability, but most of the times, if you're at this point that you can somehow manage it, like the game can do barely anything against it for certain disabilities. If you're blind, well, sorry, no, nothing will help you. If you're colorblind, that's an accessibility we can fix. That's something realistic we can do. Color blindness is something we can at least somehow manage. And I think that this accessibility should be in every Elden Ring at this part. Because, I mean Elden Ring, I mean in every game basically. Because it's something we can fix.
Where a video game like Elden Ring is concerned, if you have a kid, you have a 2-year-old, you're trying to play Elden Ring, you can't pause. That is a situational disability that you have, where the game not having the option for you to be able to pause, for example, is a hindrance for your particular disability, a situational disability.
I understand what she's saying, but having a kid isn't a fucking disability. That's not a disability, it's a decision on your part. If you're having a kid, and the kid needs your attention, you just lay down the joystick, die like a fucking man, and after you clear the thing, you just continue from that point on. It's freaking annoying, but don't say that having a kid is a disability. That's dumb. That's stupid. And I would even say I know what she meant, but for fuck's sake, she just said it. A kid is a temporary disability. It's not a disability, it's a fucking kid. You need some time to actually assess what the needs of the kid. Damn it, that's stupid.
You may need to pause to stop your kid from putting a fork into a socket. a power outlet. In Australia, we call power outlets PowerPoints. But when I moved to the US, I got bullied for that because people thought that I was referring to like a PowerPoint slideshow. So, trying to get that one out of my vocab. And there are...
No, to be honest, just fuck him. Explain what it's about. And yeah, I'm doing the same in Germany. Yeah, so some words I accept and some I'm like, nope. Still calling it that. You will learn the meaning. I know it's a bit of an asshole move, but fuck it.
Temporary disabilities. You break your wrist, you sprain your wrist, you temporarily have trouble playing video games.
That's an injury, not a disability.
You would need something to help you press certain buttons if you're playing Elden Ring. The third one...
You wait until it's fixed, until it's actually done, and then you continue. Yeah, you just have to wait. Because you still have to remember, Elden Ring isn't something you need for your survival. It's still a luxury good. And just because you cannot play right now because you broke your freaking hand in two, doesn't mean you cannot play it in, the fuck do I know, 3 months from now. Yeah.
Long-term people who have long-term disabilities. That I do. I have tendonitis in both of my wrists from playing too many video games. Unironically,
yeah.
That is a thing.
And that's on you, by the way.
From tapping too much. That means any rapid button mashing in any game, I'm going to have a lot of trouble with unless there are accessibility options to prevent that. It's part of what I worked on Gold.
Yeah, bad luck. So you destroyed your wrists. Yeah, shit happens. But that's on you. That's not the problem of the game. Honestly, what the fuck? You destroy your wrists and it's the problem of the game. I mean, it's basically, maybe I'm too harsh here because it probably started when she was a little girl. So, but button mashing, by the way, just take a t-shirt, get that sucker over your finger, and then just slide from left to right. If it's a joystick you're playing on. And yes, this works. Just slide from left to right, and you button mash like a fucking freak. Guess how I know.
God of War Ragnarok. That's part of why I made an accessibility award show to like highlight this particular thing. Is like I have a lot of trouble with fighting games. I have a lot of trouble with any game that's really button mashy. If there are too many button prompts, I'm gonna be in pain and have to like ice my wrist afterwards and not really be able to play it. And here's the thing about accessibility in Elden Ring, where any of those things are concerned. I think there's a misunderstanding that people think disabled gamers, whoever else, want an easy mode. This is not the case. It's that the appeal of Elden Ring being...
No. Disabled players don't want easy modes. Mentally, freaks want easy modes in this kind of games. Disabled players most of the time just don't give a fuck. They think that even if they make it with their disability, they are freaking better than you. And that's true. And by the way, if a 50-year-old man can actually freaking rock Elden Ring and you as a young gush, 20-year-old gusher can't, well, you suck. Sorry.
Really fucking hard is also appealing to people with disabilities. They too want to play the extremely hard game that is very hard for them to beat. They're not asking you to give them an easy mode and make it easy for them to get through. They're asking for a version of the game that can be played with their particular disabilities, so they can still enjoy really hard games as well. The complications with this conversation arise, I think, with Elden Ring specifically. Like, yeah, there are so many people who just dismiss it as like, shut up, who cares about you, you're disabled, which, you know, fuck off. Second, people just...
Oh, if you have those that say, oh, who cares about you, you're disabled. No, that's not the point. That's a very shitty thing to do. I understand that some disabled people just cannot play it because it is what it is. But as I explained before, like, yes, some people just, you cannot do it. And to the point that we are like in right now, I think it's going into correct direction. But how the fuck how can we put in accessibility thing for someone who doesn't have a finger. It's not there. And of course, as I said, like with my blind thing, of course you can have some things that do, but it's too broad of a theme. If you're mentally disabled, then I'm sorry for you, particularly badly, but yeah, sorry. It's bad, but no. You can play other things. You don't need specifically my toy, or yeah, I'm saying it, the thing I'm playing with to accompany you. It's just not necessary. You can do something different.
Assuming they're asking for easy mode, and that's not the case. It's not an easy, it's not even less difficulty, it's more options. But third is the unique challenge with FromSoft games of completing them being such a point of pride. They intentionally make these games difficult. Like I already said, this is an established ethos of these games. They are intentionally very difficult. Elden Ring is the broadest, the most open. You can use summons if you want to. If you want it to be harder, you don't have to. You can approach it with as much or as little assistance as you want, and you have still completed the game. Controversial, I know, but yes, if you use summons...
And the beauty of it is people see it differently. I personally am a human being that says, hey, if it's in the game, use it for fuck's sake. Just use it. If it's not a bug. Of course, if it's a bug or a cheat or something like that, that's still technically in the game, but don't use it, of course. But if it's something you can freaking abuse an item or something like freaking do it. That's perfectly fine. Go in on that sucker.
You've still finished the game. I don't care how you play it. Do whatever you want. But it's also just that whole culture of beating a FromSoft game is such a point of pride for people. And how do you avoid taking away that point of pride? That is one-to-one with their design ethos. It is making you feel a sense of accomplishment for overcoming something very difficult. It's a feeling humans love. You get a sense of accomplishment. You feel like you did something of value. Humans love that. And Elden Ring's like that in video games on crack. Like, if I feel a sense of accomplishment every time I get an achievement because I collected 50 Who's Whatsits, it is like triple when I beat a boss in a FromSoft game. There are bosses in Sekiro where I beat them and I like, threw my hands up in the air and screamed. There are so few other games.
Oh, interesting. When I beat them and they scream. A lot of button mashing, by the way. In Sekiro. Or button mashing. Maybe not as extreme of button mashing, but hey. You have to block pretty often if you want to get through it with some of those freaking blocks. Very often. And I mean very often.
Games that have that effect. And that's a feeling that I do think everybody should be able to have catered to their own accessibility needs. Here's my pitch, okay? Hear me out, the internet. Here's my pitch for fixing the problems surrounding Elden Ring or FromSoft games in general being so, like just the discourse being so hotly contested. Like it's, like I've been making fun of people this week for saying that if you played with summons, you didn't finish the game, that you cheated, even though it's a mechanic that's right there. It's literally intentionally there. It would be like saying you didn't beat Shadow of the Erd Tree because you used the scatter tree fragments. It's nonsense. They're in the Miyazaki put them in the game. It's cool.
I agree with her on this one because that's basically what I said. I am also a use every tool to your disposition that you have. So yeah, I agree. And those who actually say that, you can say them, well, then you're a freak, but nope, not my playstyle, fuck off. It's that simple. I don't even want any change in this case. Like, in this case, that's not even a change. It's just because some freaks that... I don't know if you... if you see my video with the DBD community, with the competitive DBD community, you know how I feel about things that people think about, like just... in their mind, where they think, oh yeah, this is for Fallout, yeah, I want the game being fair and doing this and just so it's for because we say so and this is the highest skill, and literally nobody gives a fuck. And this is funny to me. If they make up some rules, okay, that's on there, then you're just not playing on the rules. Fuck off. Minority. Fuck them.
That we can adopt them or not adopt them based on how we want to experience the thing or the unique challenges that we have, because we're all fucking different people, right? Here's my pitch, okay, gamers? Hear me out. I haven't had this conversation with anyone, so I don't know how many holes there are, but this is my thought. What if, for every game that you finish, but especially for FromSoft games, there were an ending title screen that you could screenshot and you could share very easily that details exactly how you finish the game? Are people going to reply to each other who share that and be toxic about it? Yeah, people are going to be like, oh, you summons, you died, and beat you summons, I beat the game. Yeah, people are going to be dicks. But I feel like it would maybe prevent some of the extra accessibility specific gatekeeping. Like all of these people who are vehemently against accessibility options, which is really, again, just in-game customization options. No one's asking for...
No, in-game customization isn't the same thing. For fuck's sake, stop saying that. You're wrong about it. Why is it called instant in-game customization? For me, it's basically something that you can change on the world. No, you know what? I think I'm even ranting too much. No, I agree with her. But from software games, specifically on the difficulty side, don't have this, or they already have it installed. You just have to be freaking smart enough to actually use the thing you already got. Because you can do summons, you can do it. If it's still too hard for you, then tough shit, Buttercup. Man up. And for the disability people, well, it's not tough shit, Buttercup, it's... sorry, you're unlucky about it. I am actually sorry about it, because that's none of your fault. For the most part, if you're just disabled in a certain way, it's just not your fault. I wish you were a freaking 100% their abilities, but it's just not how the world works. The world is just a freaking unfair shithole that we fight every day to actually do the things that we want to do. So, and I have certain things that I struggle with, but happily it's nothing that makes me like lose any ability of actually doing fun things. So I am fortunate and happy to actually have this, but you cannot cater to everyone. And if I could, I would cater to those that actually have disabilities they cannot overcome. That's not their true fault. Even if it's their fault to a certain degree, I would wish that we had something that they can overcome this stuff. But then there are some fat fucks that just want it to be easy. And I don't like those fat fucks.
Less or more damage, but like less button presses or there's
no.
a large list of...
See, nope, already. Not less damage, because this actually takes away from your experience. Because as she said herself, you're not playing Elden Ring because it's a freaking easy game. If you want to, yeah, okay, I just feel myself at this point.
Easier for disabled players to play a really hard game and still have it feel really hard, but still be able to play it, you know? But what if you get a screen at the end with the credits that shows exactly how you played it or what options you had on or off? In my head, this would alleviate a lot of that discourse. People are saying like no accessibility whatsoever because I want to be able to play Elden Ring the exact way that I want to be able to play it. And I feel like those people are shooting themselves in the foot, because what if they get one of those temporary, situational, or short-term disabilities? You break your wrist, you're not going to be able to play Elden Ring.
Those are called injuries, for fuck's sake. The
kid, suddenly you can't play Elden Ring. Like, I feel like they say it when they don't have disabilities, but in 10 years when you do have some kind of disability, I feel like you're going to retroactively kind of regret that you were like, absolutely not, don't change anything. I finished Tunic. That game rules and is very hard. And after I finished it, I beat the final boss that you don't even have to, well, spoilers. She was so hard. She was so hard. It took me days. Tunic has an accessibility option in it that you can use to... It's basically God mode. I think you can prevent all damage. I beat the game without that and felt so accomplished and so proud of myself. And I don't care that that mode is there or that option is there to help other people who still want to experience the game without that, I think that's perfectly fine. But I would have liked just a little something at the end, even an achievement, to give me the credit for doing the hardest fights on what is effectively the hardest in-game possible difficulty because I didn't have those accessibility options.
Yes, and this is why Souls-likes don't have this shit. Because if you beat the game, you already got it. You already got the achievement, so you don't have to pull this shit. Just don't buy the game for fuck's sake. If it's... yeah, okay.
It's on. You know what I mean? That's my thought, basically. Elden Ring is already the most accessible FromSoft game. If you're complaining about Shadow of the Erdtree being too hard, you don't have to play it. You are definitely allowed to criticize them. And I also think you should explore more, because you will find another build or another means to make things easier. Like, I think you're being impatient is probably what's happening realistically. This is for people who obviously don't have accessibility problems. But what if, so that we could actually allow disabled players to play these games, which is a thing I care about, you just, at the end of the game, you just get a screen with all your stats. How many times you died, what options you did or did not have on. So people can still brag and still show off, because, again, that is clearly a thing people like doing with these games. I just feel like it would solve a lot of this conversation. It's really not about us.
It won't do shit, by the way, because now that I'm thinking about it for 5 minutes, and if you have this, you have it enabled, then it's worthless anyway. And it just doesn't make sense to me that you wanna beat a game that's specifically there to be hard, and then beat it when it's easy, but still having the bragging rights of beating it for some reason. If you don't care about it, don't even play it. It's as Souls games are specifically there for that. I just don't get it. Just play something different. It's a luxury thing. You don't have to.
Asking Miyazaki, FromSoft, to make the game easier where accessibility is concerned. It's about allowing more people to play it. And sometimes people just need different settings to be able to do that. More customization to be able to do that. Does it make sense? I feel like it makes sense.
Nah. It's honestly just outstanding that people have to just bend so much of the language just so they sound correct. If you have to use a different word than we're actually using for the exact same thing, you're bending it for no particular reason. And I'm still gonna freaking defend it, and no, don't do it because it's a Souls game. Souls games aren't something you need to survive. They're a luxury article. You can just not play it. And if you don't make a Souls games, or then you say, okay, good, I didn't. Now what? Sue me. I disagree and agree on some points, but at the end, good night, acolytes.